Hello and welcome to TALRadio. At TAL, we connect those who are willing to give to those who are in need. My lovely audience and my lovely listeners, we are back with another wonderful episode in this lovely series called Self Coaching. And whenever I say self coaching, you know who's going to be the guest. Let's welcome Andrew Talents on TALRadio. Andrew is a self coaching expert and he's coached hundreds and thousands of leaders, not just in UK, but across the globe. Andrew, welcome to TALRadio.
Hi, Sandy. It's nice to be here again.
Thank you so much. And today is something that we have never spoken of, feedbacks. I think it's like a twist and turns, that we are having in the series. And this twist is all about the feedback, which everybody is so afraid, but very important in life, whether it's personal or it's professional. So we would be talking about the role of feedback in leadership, utilizing feedback effectively. So Andrew, let me start by asking you, why is feedback such a critical part of effective leadership?
Well, the best way to think about this, Sandy, is feedback, whenever it comes, sometimes we ask for it, sometimes we don't, is a mirror of our leadership style, whether that's leading ourselves or other people. And when we receive feedback, the importance of it is there's an opportunity there for us to learn something. And also it reveals blind spots for us. There are many times that I've received feedback, and I'm sure that you have, where I thought, I've not really thought about that before. That's quite interesting. So sometimes they can reveal blind spots. So it's a good learning opportunity for all leaders if we're willing to receive it in the right way, which we'll talk about later on.
Receiving feedback. Well, that's interesting. So moving on, what's your definition of receiving good feedback in a leadership context?
It depends where it comes from. So we've all been on the end of feedback where it's been critical and it feels like a criticism. And that's never received well because we immediately feel defensive. So in terms of when it's received, great feedback it comes from a good place. So it's actually got a supportive tone to it. It's got a supportive nature. We're doing it because we want the person to learn something. However, the other features of good feedback are that it's specific. It's actually something that's actionable, and it's something that's anchored to a theme that we've been developing with the individual. So if we can do those things and the intention is good, normally feedback can be received in a good way.
I hope people are listening to it very seriously.
Absolutely.
So moving on, why do so many leaders, in fact, I don't know if I feel, but that's what I have seen, and I'm sure most of our listeners would really agree with this, that leaders do tend to struggle to both either give feedback or receive feedback. And why is it so?
Well, let's start with the receive feedback first. I think many leaders create these environments, unintentionally sometimes, where they're just echo chambers. So for example, I might say to you, can you give me some feedback on how I dealt with that situation with you last week? And you will tell me, because you feel that it's safe to do so, you'll give me some feedback about how you want me to do it differently next time. And either I choose not to listen as the leader, or I decide not to do anything about it. And therefore, the individual that's giving me feedback gets tired because they know nothing's going to change. So we create these echo chambers sometimes as leaders where we just don't act on the feedback. In terms of actually giving feedback, sometimes leaders aren't very good at managing conflict or performance discussions because they don't want to offend the other person. And so what they do is say, yeah, Sandy, everything's good. Everything's fantastic. You're doing great. And then when you're out of the room, they're telling everybody else about the things they've got a problem with, and it's very, very difficult. So they're the main reasons, very normal human responses, and we'll come on to how we can manage that more effectively.
When it comes to leaders, I think we cannot use this word, but had it been somebody normal, it's like, oh, they're being hypocrites. On a lighter note. So, how does the mindset of a leader really influence how they handle feedback when it is given to them?
This is really interesting. When we receive feedback, the best way that we can view it is as a gift. So if we view feedback as a gift every single time, sometimes we receive gifts that we don't like. Sometimes we receive gifts that we've already got and they're redundant. But we've got to view it as a gift. And if we do, we have a learning opportunity. If we are receiving it as something that isn't a gift and it's criticism or we feel defensive, we're not going to listen to the message. So I always say in terms of mindset, when you start giving me feedback, let me be curious, let me really see this as a gift and what is it I can learn from it. And if we receive it in that way, there's usually something we can learn and benefit from.
That was a beautiful analogy that you drew from it. It's like a gift. Lovely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's how, that's what the mindset is all about. So moving on, what is the first thing that a leader should do when they receive a tough or an unexpected feedback?
Yeah, sometimes we get feedback that we don't like and it hurts us. It gets us here because it's personal sometimes, the way people give feedback, or we feel as though we've let somebody down. So when we feel that it's really tough, the best thing to do immediately is just pause for a minute. Just pause without responding. So putting that little space in there and then going to curiosity. We've talked about this on other episodes. If we can go to curiosity with a question that starts with what, who, when, how, where, one of those starting points to understand a bit more about the specificity of the feedback, it means it's probably going to land more easily with us. So if we receive something tough and we're getting the feeling, pause, put the space in, become curious, and receive the specific nature of the feedback. That normally allows us to communicate a bit more around the actual reasons as opposed to the feelings.
Andre, when you said, it's like pause and be curious and then you need to move on, I think these are certain things that are applicable in every sphere of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like no matter what happens, take a pause, be curious about it, think over it, and then move about it.
Yeah.
So moving on, whenever we talk about leaders, there's something attached or probably it is like a pre-labeled on them, ego. The word is very much associated with them. So how can ego and defensiveness get in the way of growth of an organization in this case, I must say, because of leaders?
Absolutely. We all know, we've all experienced the ego. We probably all have a little bit of ego in certain relationships. So how it gets in the way is as soon as the ego is there, it starts to produce a defensive mechanism because we want to protect the ego. We want to not lose face. We want to make sure we don't look weak. So the problem is when we're feeling defensive, our ears shut down. We just don't listen. And therefore, when we're being defensive, we want to be on the front foot and almost influence the individual in front of us, get our point across. As soon as we do that, we don't see it as a gift anymore. We're actually just seeing it as a reason to argue a point. So it's really important to let the ego go, to actually assume that we might learn something. And if we can do that, feedback again can be received in the right way. But it's very common for many leaders to let the ego get in the way.
Oh, yes. In fact, I've heard many times from, leaders. I'm sure people must have come across it. Who's the boss here? One of the most common things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, moving on, Andrew, you coach so many leaders and, you really teach them how to use self-coaching frameworks. So how can self-coaching make feedback more productive?
So once I've received the piece of feedback, I can do three things. The first thing is I can become very open-minded about it being a gift and relating it to what my goal is at the moment. So let me understand, is the feedback relevant to the things that I'm doing? Because I receive lots of feedback where it's not relevant to what I'm doing. So if it's not relevant to what I'm doing, I can let it go. I don't need to worry about it. But the first thing is it relevant? If it is, I need to take this seriously. So from the self-coaching perspective on the second point, it's about how can I actually learn if there's a pattern here? How can I actually reflect on, have I heard this feedback before? Is it something that actually has been said to me in the past? Or is it a one-off comment from one person who's maybe got a different perspective? So the second thing is look for patterns about where the feedback has occurred in the past. And then the third point is actually looking to improvement areas. So if the person is giving you feedback from a self-coaching perspective, actually ask the question, how would you like me to do this differently? What is it that you're looking for from me that you didn't get in the first place? And actually make a note of that and see if that's something that you can do next time. So there are many things that we can do from a self-coaching perspective, but they're the three key ones that we can be in charge of and reflect upon. We won't always get it right, but it just means we're giving ourselves a chance to do something with it.
And you've broken down them into very simpler form. 3 steps, which are technically the most basic step, but the hardest things to do.
Absolutely.
So moving on, what are the key principles of giving feedback that actually lands and drive the change in a positive way?
it's really important if you're giving feedback to anyone to actually create psychological safety. So for me, I shouldn't be giving feedback to anybody in a public setting, in front of other people, in a corridor where other people can listen, or if I'm in a rush and just have a fleeting conversation. It's not safe. It's not being respectful for the individual. So the first thing is make sure it's safe, where there's just the two of you in a space that you can actually give the feedback. The second thing is what we talked about before. Make sure the intention is supportive and from a perspective of the person growing and learning, as opposed to me criticizing. So that's the second point. Make sure the intention is positive. And then the third thing is to give lots of space for the individual receiving the feedback to actually just really take it on board, reflect, and ask you any questions. Because if we just give the feedback and say, next time I want you to do this, and then just leave the room, there is no space for that person to really connect with what you're actually saying to them. So it's about the safety, it's making sure that they actually got the space to respond, and it's making sure the intention is good. And if we do that, feedback sessions can be really, really powerful.
Andrew, whenever you say things, I always feel that people who are listening to us at the moment, and certainly in the future also, who really want to develop these beautiful skills in them, especially the leaders, it's like the way you break down such difficult situation. It's like the next moment, it's like, oh, I'm going to follow this. I'm not sure if they really do, but it's like, it seems so doable when you say it. It's a very doable thing. So moving on, I really wanted to understand that, how can leaders tailor their feedback approach for different personalities or generations today, I must say?
Yeah, it's great. I had a client actually recently doing this. And if I'm dealing with somebody who is reflective and quiet, then I need to give them the space when I give the feedback as long as they need. It's not like I've got 10 minutes now to give you this feedback and then we're out. So that's somebody who's a bit more introverted, somebody who needs time and space and kindness. And then you've got a lot of other people. There are certain countries around the world where they prefer direct feedback and they just want to hear it how it is, tell me how it is, tell me how you want me to be different. And that kind of approach where it's punchy, to the point, and then action orientated in terms of how can we work on this together. And of course, there's everything in between. And if we can actually sometimes ask the people that work for us, I'm going to be giving you some feedback. What's the best way that you want me to provide that to you? Give me a clue. Give me the examples, and we can learn a lot from that and just tailor it accordingly. It's really horses for courses.
Well, that really takes me to my next question. It's like, what is the danger of sugarcoating feedback too much?
We all do this. So we don't want to offend somebody. We've given feedback like this the same time 4 times. We don't want to upset them. The problem when we sugarcoat feedback and we make it sound less than it really is it doesn't do the individual any favors whatsoever, because the feedback is so important. It's the gift. And what we're doing almost is actually just, blinding them a little bit and maybe not giving them the full information they need to be able to grow and do things themselves. So even though it makes us feel better because we don't want to upset somebody, it really isn't in the interest of the person that's receiving the feedback, because all they're getting is half a story, or maybe the good bits. They don't receive the bad bits. And then later on, 6 months' time, they do it again, and we have to really give them some very difficult feedback. So sugar coating feedback can lead to a slippery slope where the relationship gets really affected for the long term.
All right. So moving back, I really wanted to understand that, how can feedback be used to build psychological safety rather than fear in the mind of the people who are receiving them?
Yeah, so it comes back. Let's say we've got a team of 6 people, and then the rest of the organization we can talk about. But we need to feel as though when we're in the moment with each other, in a meeting or in a video call, that we can give feedback in the moment and it's received well and acted upon. And the only way we can do that is by having this psychological safety where everybody in the room knows they can give feedback. It's not personal, it's actually factual, it's actually specific. It's actually relating to the good of everyone in the room and the benefit of the organization. And we set these rules up beforehand about what the engagement rules are of the feedback. We have somebody like the chief executive or the leader managing those rules to say when people are out of line. I've seen this so many times where teams really flourish and organizations where we can encourage this in the moment rather than waiting for a performance review, an end of week meeting, the start of week meeting. Let's do it in the moment and give feedback about what we're hearing and seeing, and everyone benefits. But it only can happen if people feel safe to do so and they're not criticized for doing it.
So it's technically like a true feedback.
Yes.
So that really takes me to my next question. So, what does a true feedback culture look like in a healthy organization, and how can one achieve it?
Yeah, it's a really hard thing to achieve. I'll tell you how it feels. You will see people disagreeing and giving examples of how they want things differently. And the people who are receiving those messages are actually welcoming it. They're the curious. Can you tell me some more? I want to learn some more. So it feels very positive as opposed to negative, which feedback sometimes can feel. So what you feel around this kind of culture when it's being created is that it's very enriching, and it just feels very positive, and people are learning from each other all the time because they're all expecting it. It's already been set up. So it has many benefits. What it also does is if you have constructive disagreement and feedback, it leads to innovation. Because rather than me saying, oh, yeah, Sandy, that was okay what you did, and then me really feeling, no, it wasn't okay, we just lose an opportunity to actually have some constructive commercial tension in there. How we create it is very, very difficult, and many organizations have tried this. There is one concept that I want to share with you, which the listeners can look up. And it's a concept that was derived by Marshall Goldsmith, who we've talked about before on these podcasts. And he called it feed forward. And in feed forward, what we do, which is very different to feedback, is let's say that you said to me, Sandy, I want to improve the way that I actually create space for me to have reflection time in the morning. And therefore, I don't want to have extended meeting time with you. So I'm going to leave the meeting at the right time rather than stay. What I would do with feed forward is actually when you do that, I will actually tell you in the moment, Sandy, that was really good that you actually left the meeting on time like you wanted to, because I wanted to keep you a bit longer and you decided, no, I'm going to go. So the whole concept of feed forward is actually giving feedback in the moment or just soon after. And cultures can be created in this way where people are encouraged to give it to each other, either by WhatsApp, by SMS, on email, or even verbally, or on voice messages, just reinforcing the positive behaviors that we're seeing, giving feedback in the moment. So that's a really good way we can create the culture quite quickly.
That's quite a new thing, at least for me, and I'm sure for the audience as well. Feed forward.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to feed forward now.
Okay.
Yes. So how can leaders encourage their teams to give them honest feedback?
It's really hard. It's really about being specific in the first place. So if I said to my team, I want specific feedback from you on how you feel in my presence, how you feel in terms of clear on the actual vision, and I want feedback from you about how you're treated in meetings. I want you to give me that specific feedback. So specificity is good, because if I say to you, can you give me some feedback? I'm not really sure what kind of feedback you want me to give you. So being specific is really important. The second thing is that we make it easy for it to be given. So sometimes we've heard about suggestion boxes, which work very well in organizations. It might be we encourage one email address that has all of the messages going to it, that's broad feedback on the topics, ideally face-to-face as well. But when they're given, it's got to be acknowledged by the leader that we've received this feedback and articulate it and share it. We can't hide it, even the bad bits. So it's really important to be transparent. That's the second point. And then the third point is to actually enable the team to decide on all the areas of feedback that's been given, which are the ones that should be acted upon first or next. So the leader can focus on those priorities where the feedback actually is more important from the team. So it's all about making sure it can be given in specific terms, making sure we've got transparency about what feedback is received, and then really clarifying what actions. If we do that as a leader, it means we're much more likely to get timely feedback that benefits us all. It's not easy to do because we're going to have bad feedback, we're going to have good feedback, but we can do it if we try hard.
All right. So, Andrew, in today's work culture, sometimes it's remote, sometimes it's hybrid, sometimes it's office. It's like a changing pattern altogether. So, how does remote or hybrid work affect how feedback should be delivered to the concerned person?
It's really changed the whole nature of feedback. People feel less able to be vulnerable on a video call. If they're face to face, we can feel that safety. So one of the things that I've taught in organizations that do work remotely or hybrid is it's far easier just to send a note before the meeting to say, I'm going to be wanting some feedback on these 3 areas. I want you to be able to tell me specifically how you feel about these 3 areas. I don't want you to do it written back to me. I want you to do it when we get on the call. And I want you to know we've got plenty of time and we maybe got 10 or 15 minutes to do that. So we're setting up before the call rather than it being a surprise, and we're setting the conditions again, and we're setting the specificity. So that's what I found works remotely. It's still very difficult. It works easier sometimes when the screen is off rather than on, because if I'm looking at you and giving you some feedback, it's sometimes harder to do that because I'm seeing how you're reacting. So even sometimes over the telephone can be easier as long as we have the questions beforehand. But you're right, Sandy, it's so much more difficult to do remotely.
That is. So, we're talking about emotional intelligence so much in our past and previous episodes and about self-awareness. So how do you link feedback to self-awareness and to emotional intelligence?
So if we define emotional intelligence again, it's about me being able to understand how to manage my emotions in the right way because I'm aware of the emotions I'm feeling right now and how they affect people. So that's how we describe that. You and I have both met people and leaders all over the world that actually are not aware of how they impact people. They walk into a room or they start talking to people and they don't know they're boring them, or they don't know they're actually being too serious, or they don't know they're actually affecting the individual. So how this all feeds back is, first of all, I need to be receptive and want feedback so I can fine tune how I am being in my relationships with people. So I've got to want that. The second thing is once I get the feedback, I've got to be able to start changing my behavior in those relationships on the basis of the feedback so I can improve it. So I see it as the gift. And then the third thing is I then go and seek further feedback about whether they've seen a difference in the way I've been behaving. So it's all about this broad awareness about I started here, I'm now here. Is that better for you in the way I am with you in relationships? So that's how it all ties in. I've got to be aware in the first place, seek the feedback, act on it, seek more, and just see it really as a growth process. If I see it as defensive at any point or criticism, I'm just going to close myself down.
And when you close yourself down, well, remember the rule, pause, be curious,
yes,
and then move on. So talking about being curious, so what role does curiosity play in utilizing feedback effectively?
Curiosity is the best thing to go to whenever we're feeling negative or stuck. And the reason it does is because it gives us time to reflect ourselves. If you've just given me some feedback, which I don't particularly like, or it's unsettling for me, the worst thing I can do is react immediately because it's a response around survival, that flight or flight or fight. So if I actually become curious, it means I can put a question back to you. And when I say what or how or where or who and ask you to clarify a bit more, it gives me more information that actually clarifies the feedback. Once I understand that, I can ask another question and be curious. So what would you do in my shoes? For example, now you give me that feedback. If you were me, what would you do? I've got a different perspective, a different lens to look through. And so curiosity, anytime I'm feeling stuck or I've got negative feedback or defensiveness, it works every time to actually give me time, reflect, and get some extra information. And usually I feel better at the end of that just because I've become curious.
No wonder they say curiosity is the mother of all inventions.
Absolutely. I love
that. So moving on, I know, you don't have much time and you have to rush to another meeting as well. So, but before I let you go and we wrap up this wonderful segment and this very episode on self-coaching series, I really wanted to, our listeners to understand that what is one mindset shift that every leader today needs to make to truly harness the power of feedback?
It's all about understanding how feedback can help you grow as a leader. So if I go into any particular meeting I have where my intention is, how can I learn from this by understanding the perspective of somebody else in how I'm being with them or how I'm affecting them? It means I can then improve my relationship with this person, but also other people who are like this. So the one step that people can take is to go into the next meeting or the next phone call or the next email exchange with this mindset of what can I learn by asking for feedback. So how did that come across to you? How did the email feel? How did it feel when I actually said that to you? And just ask for the feedback. What's the worst that could happen? So all the leaders out there, ask for feedback today and tomorrow.
Because nothing worse can happen. Sky will not fall.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So on that wonderful note, we're going to wrap up this wonderful segment and this wonderful episode on this wonderful series called Self-Coaching. But we'll be back with another episode. Till then, please take very good care of yourself and stay tuned to TALRadio. Thank you so much.